going on, YouTube? The day has finally come. I've been sitting on this for a little over 3 months now, literally since I got hurt. And I've been waiting on parts the whole time. Finally got this thing together, and that is my brand new 2025 Stark VARG. It's a little cold out here, so I'm gonna go inside and warm up before I kind of dive into this bike. It's got some little details and stuff here and there that I think are pretty noteworthy, so I'm gonna go warm up and dive into this bike for you guys. Okay, we're inside now, bit warmer. Originally, I started this right after I got hurt. Pretty bad timing when that happened. I got hurt September 14th, and then I got a call. I got out of the hospital and got a call like a couple days later that I had a brand new Stark coming, and you know, I'd already been kind of, you know, working on getting an actual deal in line for next year with Stark. But the original bike that I had before had 90 hours on it. I was really pushing the Stark guys to get me a bike, and just with how timing and everything worked out, it ended up showing up right after I got hurt. So I've been working on this bike for a couple months. Thankfully, I just got released to ride. Unfortunately, can't ride here because of the snow. Yeah, initially, I haven't had the chance to customize the Stark VARG at all. The bike I had before was supposed to just be kind of like a demo, like test the bike out, ride it a little bit, and I ended up riding it as my main bike all year long. So I try to keep that one, you know, just bone stock. I put suspension and bars on it and a seat cover, and that was it. And just the bare bones minimum, because I knew I would be selling that bike and getting rid of that. But this time around, Stark is now obviously allowing me to do whatever I want to the bike, which I haven't really had the ability to customize any of my bikes. Or I guess I should say I've never really customized any of my bikes too heavy. I was always, when I was racing, I was mainly just stock components, stock everything, ride the bike to its full potential first before you start putting performance stuff on it. And now that I'm at the level I'm at, and the fact that you can't really, technically you can't mod a Stark VARG. It's just, you got what you got, and that's what you got. So it's mainly about just making it look good, making it super comfortable for your riding style. There's a few little, like, small little things I'll get into here in a sec that obviously I've done for comfort and some performance stuff, but mainly it's just kind of making the thing look how you want it to look. I had to make it feel like my bike. So first things first, obviously 2025 Stark VARG, the most powerful dirt bike available to the public right now. As I mentioned earlier, I signed an official deal with Stark for 2025, so we'll be seeing me on the VARG the majority of the year. And if I had to choose, no matter what, I would still choose that bike for the riding I'm doing. Now, it does have, compared to the previous version I had, it has a little bit of a different inverter, and the charging location on the bike is slightly different. First Stark I had was the original, like, traditional. It's kind of under the charging port was kind of like under the seat. This one, it's more in the middle of the bike, you know, dead center in the middle of the seat. A little bit easier for you to plug it in with the charging stand. Before, you really had to, like, kind of stretch the cord to get it to plug in properly. Now you can just come straight up, plugs in, you got a little bit more slack, a little bit more play. Now we'll get into the powder coat work that I had done. I had Eric Phillips over at ESP Creative Coatings go through as much as we could on that bike. Obviously, there's not a ton of parts you can pull off and get coated on it, but I had the calipers, the reservoirs, and the swing arm coated. I had all those powder coated black. I think it just kind of ties the bike in a little bit more. I know there's like these little silver pieces on the frame that I kind of wanted to get done black, but it was kind of a pain to pull them off. And honestly, if I go too black, it'll look way too freestyle. So I'm trying to keep my racer roots here. But he did an awesome job, knocked things out. Everything out that I needed done within a day, not even a day. Huge shout out to Eric for doing that. His contact information and social media handles and everything will be down in the description. So if you want to check him out, please do. He supported and helped me a ton with this, so you should go show him some support. But he absolutely knocked the coatings out. Now, suspension, I've been with TCD for 5-6 years now. Had them get some Kashima coated uppers, DLC lowers, KYB billet lugs. Had them basically give me all the fancy stuff. I didn't get anything really done to the shock. Outside of my suspension settings themselves are probably, I believe Tim Bennett, the owner, said he's never built anything stiffer than my setting on that bike. And that's because obviously the VARG weighs a little bit more than a 450, so I think 15-20 pounds, so you got to factor that in while you're building that. Plus the demand that I need just from the suspension alone is very, very high. So that stuff, like I can sit on the bike, I'll insert a video right here, but I sit on the bike and it doesn't even move. It feels nice when I'm riding it, especially for the big jumps, but the bike and suspension itself is super stiff. I was in between getting the gold lowers and the DLC black lowers, but I feel like if I went with gold, obviously again, it would kind of look pretty freestyle. I do not like, no, that is not my look, not my world. I try to wash my hands clean of that. Right now we're gonna keep it very traditional. Now moving on to my fake shifter. I had a local fabricator buddy help me with that. We've kind of played around with a couple different designs, but ultimately that's kind of the design we ended up going with. And it works really well. So just to add a little bit more customization to that, I had Nick at MHR Racing, Metro Lakes, help me out with some laser engraving, kind of get my logo centered in there. Came out super nice. I was super stoked on that. He actually builds a lot of the engine stands for some of the factory teams. Again, his link and social media handles will be in the description below if you want to go check it out. He does great work. He's going to be helping me out with some other stuff in the future here pretty soon. Overall, I was super satisfied with his work and how the logo came out. I think it just looks, it adds a little bit more flair to something that, obviously I'm all white, there's no like crazy flair. So like a little hit of some customization was kind of ties it in nicely. That shifter hook is one of those parts that's super functional, more like a performance part for me. I hook my foot underneath there when I do like whip knacks and when I'm scrubbing, sometimes when I'm whipping, depends on the direction, but I like to hook my foot underneath there. I do the same thing on a 450. You shift up and hold it, or you keep it under there and then you shift up once you leave the jump. Now, if you notice, I do have a Holeshot Device on my bike. Shout out to Works Connection for that. They helped me out with some of the smaller hard parts. Obviously, I'm not gonna use that Holeshot Device. I mean, maybe for jokes once in a while, but I don't really need to use it. I just like having it on there. Or they have them in a couple different colors now, which is cool. So I chose to go with the silver. Matches the Bridgestone logo on the fork guard. Now, you heard me mention Bridgestone just now. That's probably the biggest change to my bike for 2025 is I will be running Bridgestones all year long. I made the decision to switch over from the traditional, you know, what everybody runs Dunlop to the Battlecross X31s is what I'm running. For those who don't know, Bridgestone kind of stepped away from moto, but they're trying to make a return. They're trying to come back, supporting a lot more privateers. They're getting back into the sport, like I said. Gonna give Dunlop a pretty big run for their market share extremely soon. So price point and the entry point to get in a set is a little bit cheaper than all the other competitors. So that's another thing to think about, especially with the way the world is right now. If you can get a better product for cheaper, it's a no-brainer to me. Now, I got a couple things as well on that bike that I ended up doing myself. One of them is the grip tape. Not the best template, not the best cut ever. Not even remotely close. Hand cut the template and just kind of went for it and slapped some grip tape on there. But that's a necessity performance part that I absolutely need on the VARG. Just because it's so skinny and the bike is so thin, one, because there's no pipe, and two, because there's no radiators up front. I really needed some grip tape on there, so I just went to Lowe's, got some step tape, cut it, and slapped it on the frame. And the clear grip tape on the plastics is actually the mob grip tape for skateboards. Tried to make the cut look as best as I could. No, I'm not a pro, so you guys can flame me in the comments all you want. I know it doesn't look great, but it works, so that's all that matters to me. Second homemade piece is the little mud guard I have underneath the fender. That only comes in black, unfortunately, so we got the spray paint that you paint like plastic chairs and stuff with, and we just kind of spray painted it a couple times white. Obviously the white doesn't really match the plastics. Again, I gotta do what I gotta do. Really like the way the white mud guards look. I probably won't actually ride the bike with that on there. I'll probably take it off, but for photos and stuff, until they're making an aftermarket white one, I gotta take the rattle can and do what I gotta do. Other than that, there's no more like homemade parts on that bike, so thankfully. And also, if you guys noticed, nobody was really making aftermarket plastics for the the VARG right now, but I did get my hands on some Achirby's fork guards. Shout out to Ryan Ritter for making that connection for me at Achirby's. He had a couple extra sets of like the white KTM fork guards, and I guess they're the same as the Stark. Oh, thank you Ryan Ritter and Achirby's for helping out with that. Now, handlebars and grips I get off of MX Locker. If you don't know what MX Locker is, they're a big marketplace app. Really anything motocross related, parts, gear, bikes themselves, whatever. They've got it on there. Help me get the SX Race Pro Taper Fusions. Run the SX Race bend. I run them unlocked. You have the option to run them locked or unlocked. I like to run them unlocked because I like a little bit of flex, especially when I'm landing. And the grips themselves, I believe, are the SX Race grips. Softest grips you can get. Don't last very long. Really don't last at all. But they're extremely cheap, especially on MX Locker. Super, super comfy. But yeah, shout out to MX Locker for helping me get some handlebars and some grips on that bike. Now, I'm sure some of you guys have noticed the fake clutch lever that I've been using. I actually hit arc levers up about, you know, helping out with getting me some levers on this bike, and they jumped right on board. So shout out to arc levers for that. Got me the brand new like unbreakable foldable front lever that I have a set on my 450. Obviously, I've had them for a couple years now. Clutch lever I have right now is used. You can kind of tell. It's got some chips in it. Right now, it'll work. Oh, we do have that fake clutch. What we did is we cut up a couple pieces of bicycle tube, stretched it around where like the perch would be, and kind of made it so it springs back a little bit. And I just kind of need that there just to feel comfortable. If you were wondering, that's what that is. And last but not least, CMT Composite sent over a big box of all their carbon parts for the Stark VARG. Fortunately, a few of them I couldn't run. The one I was so stoked to throw on that bike was a big carbon skid plate. But with my fake shifter there, it just doesn't quite fit on. I would have to trim the carbon out, and I don't want to do that. Saving it for the next Stark VARG that I get. But they ended up sending me a whole bunch of trick stuff, including the carbon reservoir protector. Fitment's super good. I was super stoked on all that. If you want to get some carbon stuff for not only Stark VARG, but any other bike out there, that's my go-to company. Oh yeah, one more thing. I do have the Stark. Stark ended up sending me these really awesome custom tie pegs. They are used because I've been using them throughout the entire year. I think that's one of another performance part that I really have to have is sharp foot pegs. But other than that, yeah, you can't, there's not too much to do to this bike other than make it look really cool and make it look how you want it to look. So chain sprockets are stock, everything regarding that stock. The wheels are stock. Probably the most durable wheels that I've actually ridden on. I beat the crap out of the wheels on the other bike that I had, and they held up extremely well. So, but yeah, that kind of wraps up this bike. Can't wait to start, you know, kind of getting back into the groove here. I've been off the bike for 3.5 months at this point. So I've been waiting a really long time to get back on the bike. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Say it in every video, but it does definitely help me. And if you have any questions, make sure to drop them down below. More than happy to answer anything and everything in between on this bike. Obviously, people have a ton of questions on it. I'm more than happy to answer whatever. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.